So my name is Nicole Sellers. I'm the Youth FASD Prevention Program Coordinator. I'm excited to present this new resource to help you educators feel comfortable in starting difficult conversations with our younger youth to allow them to feel confident in taking charge of their health, provide them knowledge on important topics, and learn how and where to ask for help. I'd like to start the presentation by giving a land acknowledgement. The Saskatchewan Prevention Institute provides service on treaty lands 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10, and the ancestral territories of the Nahiawak, the Nahidawak, Nahinawak, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Anishinaabe peoples, and the homeland of the Métis. The Saskatchewan Prevention Institute acknowledges the importance of the treaties, the harms of the past, and respectfully strives for reconciliation and partnership. Starting the conversation, creating space to develop health communication skills in the classroom is now available for you guys, for educators working with children and youth in grades 4 to 9. This resource contains lesson plans that meet the Ministry of Education's curricular objectives. There'll be QR codes linking to this resource and others discussed in this presentation, and I'll provide this at the end of the presentation. Lesson plans in the resource, they focus on health-related topics such as healthy relationships, communication skills, diversity, self-esteem, and personal identity. Also peer pressure, alcohol and the alcohol-related harms, and the importance of seeking support. Teachers have that unique opportunity to provide guidance to children who are in their formative years. Sometimes the issues that children and youth have may be difficult to talk to, so the questions they ask may be difficult to respond to, or you may not feel comfortable enough to ask questions or share thoughts at all. So these lesson plans kind of help you get out in front of some of these issues and questions and engage youth to develop skills in communication, support seeking, and decision making that will increase their health now and in the future. So the following presentation will discuss the foundational principles that were taken into consideration when developing this resource, and then I'll provide a brief overview of the resource. So just a quick overview of the objectives that we'll talk about today in the webinar. We'll go over what is health promotion and prevention and why it is important. Some of the things that influence health, such as there's family, culture, education, community, and media. An explanation of trauma-informed practices, including intergenerational trauma and teaching with a trauma-informed approach. And then we'll dive into the lesson plan modules a bit with a brief description. So the lessons included in starting the conversations are examples of primary prevention and health promotion tools. This resource provides information and skill building activities to help children and youth make informed decisions, seek support when needed, and increase their well-being. Primary prevention refers to the approach that prevents negative health outcomes from occurring by eliminating or changing the factors that cause them. So I'm going to start off by sharing a short little story. So there was an old story about a community by a river. So residents had to keep rescuing people who had fallen into the river and they were being swept past. Someone finally asked, "I wonder why all these people are falling into the river." Some people from the community decided to investigate and found that the bridge had broken. So they fixed the bridge and they solved the problem. The decision to fix the bridge and stop people from falling in the river instead of just constantly saving people is an example of primary prevention. Primary prevention plays a role in our lives every day and has a critical role in keeping us safe and protecting our health and well-being. Parents and caregivers provide rules for our children to help keep them safe. So your schools, they have rules, right, to intend to protect or enhance the health and well-being of students. The government has protective laws such as seatbelt use. They have legal drinking age, smoking restrictions, and so on. And as an individual, we can make decisions about our daily lives that have protective effects. So things like our diet, vaccinations, condom use, exercise. So you can kind of understand that primary prevention plays a role in our lives every day and has a critical role in keeping us safe and protecting our health and well-being. The lessons included in starting the conversations used primary prevention and health promotion tools. So the resource provides information and skill building activities to help children and youth make informed decisions and seek support when needed. So just to kind of jump into a little bit more about health promotion, the Ottawa Charter for Health Promotion was established in 1986 and defined health promotion in part as the process of enabling people to increase control over and to improve their health. So children and youth make health-related decisions every day. So for example, they look both ways before crossing a street. They participate in sports, or they maybe ask a teacher for support when they're being bullied. Health goes beyond our physical conditions and includes the resources available to us to reach a fulfilled life. Health is not solely the responsibility of healthcare practitioners. So it includes individuals, your family, community. It's everybody's responsibility. So it's going to start by taking a quick minute or couple seconds to think about ways that you help students improve their health. So if you're thinking every day, kind of knowing what health promotion is now, thinking of different ways that you may help students improve their health. You might have thought of things like academics, athletics, arts, music, all those different things. Next slide. And some of the other things that health promotion includes is health education. So that includes things like sexual health, substance use, interpersonal relationships, and where to go for more help. Providing a safe, non-judgmental space to talk and ask questions. Teaching students how to use media in a positive way. So this has been an extremely important topic recently. Helping students learn empathy and compassion, and just being a positive role model. So you might likely have had other ideas, but you can see your role as an educator is very important in the field of primary prevention and health promotion, especially for your students, but also for your community. So beginning in infancy, children are influenced by and learn from those who raise them and care for them. Families share their values, cultures, traditions, and language with their children. As children grow older, there are many other influences that can impact their health and well-being, and this can include their peers, their educators, cultural and community activities, or the media. When speaking to students about what they might have or what they might do to have healthy lives, it's important to be sensitive to their experience that they have in their own lives or seen in the lives of those that they love. Everybody experiences are different. So labeling behaviors or experiences as negative may cause the students to kind of turn off and maybe not hear the messages that's being shared. Empathy, compassion, and honesty are important when interacting with students. So just allowing the discussions that examine all aspects of health decisions increase the likelihood of participation and learning. So we are constantly exposed to information, opinions, and values from the media, social media, including entertainment as well. We receive the viewpoints, opinions, and values from other people in our lives. Sometimes the information that young people receive from these sources is good and promotes health and positive life choices, but other times, however, it can have a potential to have negative consequences in their life. So you can help young people examine their personal values and use these values to help them deal with influences that will confront them during their lives. So as a teacher, you guys are in the ideal position to promote health to young people, and for them to learn some influences in their lives that will be beneficial, and some that may cause them harm. So starting the conversations resource helps children and youth to discuss those influences in their lives and learn how to determine if these influences are either healthy or unhealthy. It also focuses on developing tools and skills to help them make decisions that will improve their health now and in the future. Certain topics in the Starting the Conversations lesson plan, they may trigger reactions from students who have experienced trauma, including intergenerational trauma in their lives. Trauma-informed teaching provides a safe and supportive environment for all students, not just those who have experienced trauma. So using that trauma-informed approach in the classroom on a school-wide basis can help all students feel that the school is a safe environment. This resource, it may be helpful if you are new to the concept of trauma-informed teaching. It can be downloaded at the website found on the screen or by searching it just from its title. So again, I'll have a QR code to link to this resource at the end of the presentation. This document explains how to foster relationships and make those connections with students, how to do check-ins with yourself and with the students, creating a safe space, dealing with triggers, and much more. The Saskatchewan Prevention Institute also developed a new resource about creating safe spaces. So creating safe spaces is important for the promotion of youth well-being, safety, and empowerment. So this poster shown here features the Safe Space acronym and supports individuals and organizations who work with youth in ensuring that every young person feels valued, heard, and respected. All right, so here's the resource, kind of what it looks like, Starting the Conversations. It was developed in 2023. So called Starting the Conversations, Creating Space to Develop Health Skills in the Classroom. Lesson plans that are geared for grades 4 to 9. And it meets the health education objectives for each grade set out by the Saskatchewan curriculum. The lessons in the resource, they begin in grade 4, which might seem beginning difficult conversation in grade 4 is a little bit early, but some of these topics in the lesson plans include self-esteem, substance use, healthy and unhealthy relationships, and how to look for help. Allowing children to learn the factual, practical information that is age appropriate will help them develop skills that they'll be able to use as they become older. So if your classroom setting, or if in your classroom setting, children learn that, that they have a supportive environment, they're trusted and respected, and that they're safe to share their opinions and comments without judgment, they'll be more willing to open up and feel comfortable discussing some of these topics. Student engagement requires the use of capacity building and peer education approaches. In student engagement, students are given the opportunity to experience partnerships with adults that are equal, without bias, open-minded, judgment-free, and where power and roles are shared. So not all students will be engaged in the same way or to the same extent. One student may participate by paying close attention to things that are going on and listening to what others are saying without necessarily saying anything themselves. While another person may lead the group and help organize activities and be very vocal. It is helpful when students can connect to the activities and relate in ways that are very comfortable to them. So a teacher or other adult who believes in and uses the principle of student engagement is called an adult ally. An important role for an adult ally is to reduce those barriers and challenges that hinder students from being engaged. For example, it is important to avoid taking control of the exercise or having them done it right more than getting it done quickly. Student engagement approaches challenge us to share power with young people and not just control that activity. So we need to think about what we can learn from young people and not just what we can teach them. When facilitating these lessons, it's also important that you meet students as equals as much as possible, and you don't portray yourself as that expert. You're the resource for the students as they address their needs and issues. If you do not know the answer to a question, you can tell the student or group that you'll find out for them, or bring in a speaker with more expertise in the area to just help expand that group's knowledge. And that it's okay sometimes to just admit that you don't know something. It's better than providing misinformation or minimizing the group's need for information. We're now going to kind of dive into the resource and go over some of the key points. Here's the layout of what the resource looks like, and like what content is in it. It's easy to use, and while you might not use each lesson, depending on the grade you teach and the topics you're addressing, there are many unique activities designed to engage the students. The introduction of the resource contains information to help you think about why having these conversations with students is valuable. It also contains practical content such as the importance and perhaps necessity of parent consent and confidentiality. Another important thing to think about prior to using the lesson plans is your community. What are the expectations of the administration of the school, the parents, the elders, when engaging students in topics such as, sexual health, alcohol use, mental health, and others that may be like sensitive or considered maybe a little bit more personal? If you're new to the community in the school, take time to learn about the culture of both. Ask for guidance from community leaders and those who have taught maybe in the school for a while, so you can approach these topics with respecting their values. Confidentiality is also essential in building the trust. You have to determine the level of disclosure from students that is safe for group settings. You can encourage students to be open and honest as long as it feels safe for them. And then finally, if you hear something from a student that leads you to believe that harm could come to this person or to others, it is imperative that you intervene in an appropriate manner using those procedures set out by the legal duty to report. And there's a link to the Government of Saskatchewan's learning module on the duty to report in the introduction as well. So each module focuses on one of 6 topics that are core to the resource. The topics include diversity, sexual and gender identity, healthy relationships, peer pressure, mental health, and alcohol and substance use. The introduction to each module contains a rationale, curricular outcomes connected to the module, and then and corresponding to the different grade levels, key understandings, and just essential questions. Of course, the content and the lessons provided in each of the module cannot contain everything one can possibly discuss about this topic. So there's additional resources from the Prevention Institute that has been included in the module descriptions. In some cases, there are additional links for also external sources. And you may have other trusted resources that you can use to further enrich that discussion. So each lesson introduces the topic and provides detail of the lesson. So that gives you like the time, the material needed, format, discussion questions, closing exercises, and then an assessment rubric. So when needed, there's video links that are provided and handouts are inserted immediately following the lessons. In some cases, activity materials are provided in the appendices. Hyperlinks are included in the lessons outlined to these additional materials. Please make sure to read over all the lessons before deciding to use it in the classroom. If you're familiar with the community and your students, you will know that what approaches to use to discuss those topics with those students. And not all lessons may be appropriate for your class. Some topics may not be acceptable in the community or just based on the level that the kids are at. And use your judgment to provide the students with the best information they can have to help make them good, informed decisions in their lives. So kind of just doing a quick overview of each one of the modules. Module 1, sorry, talks about diversity. So everywhere we look, our world, our country, our province, our community, we can recognize diversity and the value it brings to us. By embracing diversity and inclusion in our lives are very much enriched. We can learn from others, share cultures, and integrate components of worldviews that enrich our own. Sometimes, though, differences may be threatening, and the fear of being different can lead to minimizing one's opportunity to learn from others and to isolation of groups and individuals. So there's biases, stereotypes, prejudice, and negative attributes occur when we view diversity through that kind of us versus them lens. In this module, students will discuss how we are diverse from one another, that it's important to celebrate diversity, how diversity can lead to bias and prejudice, and why inclusion is important. Through the lessons, the students will investigate the meaning of diversity, prejudice, and discrimination, and examine their own judgments about people before getting to really know themselves. The second module is sexual identity, gender identity, and gender expressions, which can be challenging subjects for young people, given the strong expectations and messages around heterosexuality. They can also be challenging given the myths and stereotypes that exist and the terminology that is rarely well explained. But these conversations are important because there can be marginalized people within your group or within your class, and marginalizations can lead to negative health outcomes. So there's a comprehensive glossary of terms included in this module. And in these lessons, students will understand that sexual and gender identity is an individual and personal matter, that each person is unique, and that the discrimination based on sexual and gender identity is not okay. Healthy relationships with friends, family, people in the community, and between people who are dating allow for independence and dependence on one another. In healthy relationships, there's a balance of power, and both individuals are important in that relationship. Healthy relationships take two people, and both parties must work towards maintaining that healthy relationship. So knowing good communications, having healthy boundaries, trust, and respect are very important in healthy relationships. And healthy relationships should support personal growth and development, and both individuals should be free to have friends and activities outside of that relationship. Healthy relationships with people who are dating can include physical aspects that friends do not have. And then this kind of adds a new dimension to the relationships. So this lesson will help students examine what is and what isn't healthy in a relationship, how to recognize those warning signs of unhealthy relations, how to resolve conflict, how to set boundaries, and how to get support or help if they can't resolve those situations themselves. So going on to peer pressure, it's something that everyone experiences during their lives, even as us as adults. A peer is defined as someone who is in that same age group or in the same social position. The impact of peer pressure becomes most noticeable during those early adolescent years. And it's important that young people recognize peer pressure for what it is. Peer pressure often leaves a person feeling like they're not good enough the way that they are, and that they maybe have to change to be accepted. Students need skills to help them resist that peer pressure that is leading them to become someone that they don't want to be. So these lessons will help students differentiate between that positive and negative peer pressure, and again, to build the skills to resist the negative peer pressure. Mental health. So mental health is about living a healthy life, whether you have a mental illness or not. Good mental health might look different from one person to another. So there's 6 common elements of well-being that are seen across different descriptions and definitions from Canada and from around the world. In these lessons, students will come to understand that good mental health can include a sense of purpose, strong relationships, feeling connected to others, having a good sense of self, coping with stress, and just enjoying life. So developing positive mental health begins in early childhood and continues throughout life. These lessons will give the students an opportunity for that self-reflection. How students learn to deal with pressure affected by their present health, but also their future health. It's important that people are given those tools to know how to reach out for help if they need it, if they have problems and don't seek help, how there's a chance that their health issues will become even more complex and more difficult to treat in the end. Some students begin to experience with alcohol, drugs, and tobacco as early as grade 4. So even though there are many public campaigns about the dangers of substances, they're widely used in society. It's important to have those conversations about the impacts of alcohol, drugs, and tobacco that they have on their communities, on families, and on themselves. Substance use is closely connected to impulsive behaviors, violence, unprotected sexual activity, unplanned pregnancies, and sexual assault. It can also lead to addiction or substance use disorder. And so these lessons kind of focus on the risks of substance use, the reason for substance use, and coping mechanisms other than using that substance. And then after the modules, there's the appendices, and this contains a variety of information. There is an informed consent template to send home for parents or guardians for a signature if you need it. If you feel it is required for the lessons or series of lessons, you can use this. There's a frequently asked questions included, points on classroom management during the sessions and what to do about certain disclosures by students or among others. And then there's exit slip templates that can be used at the end of each module if you choose to do so. And then there's also icebreakers that are included as tools to use to increase that comfort level of students with you and each other, kind of feeling more comfortable talking and in the group. So thank you very much for your interest in this resource, starting the conversations. I hope you'll be able to use some or all of these lesson plans in your school. The more we can do early to help these children and youth develop the skills and strengths they need, the better they'll be equipped to handle the pressures that they face as they mature. So if you have any questions about this resource or any others that the Institute offers, please feel free to contact me. We're very happy to hear from you, and hopefully we can assist in any way we can. This next slide here just has the QR code. So we have Opening the Doors to Difficult Conversations, which is a toolkit that is used with the older kids in youth groups and how to start those conversations, as well as the trauma-informed classroom strategies that I had talked about earlier in the presentation. And if there is any questions, you may put them in the chat and I can answer them. The next slide, I just have a short survey or evaluation if you don't mind filling out. I'll also put the link in the chat bar if you choose to follow that one as well. And I'll stick around if anyone has any questions. Thank you.